one of my biggest pet peeves is when you're donating money to a nonprofit organization, and yes, they send you like great pictures, and they say, "Oh, thank you so much for helping us." I wanted to know where my money's going, and I created this organization just so every single dollar is going towards what you think, rather than paper clips or paper or someone's salary or bathroom supplies.
But what if someone doesn't have the luxury of having a day job to fund all their nonprofit? Angelo, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
We've been in touch, not in touch, but like not in touch in person. So
Yeah.
first time meeting, but like we've been in touch through social media for quite some time now.
Absolutely.
And to my surprise, we have a few mutual buddies. Shout out Tom and Marty. I'm sure there's more, and
Payless Park.
especially in the pizza world. I'm sure we have a few mutual friends. Derek seems to be his a feeder for this. Derek has been mentioned on like probably the majority of this.
Oh, really?
Podcast, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great guy.
Speaking of like people that put other people like on a platform, Derek has got to be one of those people.
Yeah, and he was actually one of the first guys I reached out to when starting Doughnate Pizza. So, Derek's near and dear to my heart, obviously.
I think the last guy was Tripping Billy's.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Angelo from Doughnate Pizza, but I feel like there's so much more to you than just this nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
I unfortunately appreciate you for inviting me to the Chicago Pizza Summit. Work got the best of me. And
Yeah,
no
worries.
I couldn't make it, but how was it? Are you still coming off the high of Chicago Pizza Summit?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of pizza. It was unlimited pizza and drinks. So of course, being there from 11 or is it like 10 o'clock to 6, I was feeling extra saucy at the end of the night.
Okay.
So no, it was great. It was beautiful. So many people. The pizza community is just amazing, right? So like we were talking about hospitality earlier, and everyone just respects everyone, and they love what we're doing, giving back. So, but it was awesome. The pizza was great. The camaraderie was great. The people were great. So can't ask for anything more.
So I want to get to this nonprofit eventually, and I do want to actually. You're probably very close right now, or familiar, or have a accurate pulse on the people living on the streets these days, right? People that are in a more unfortunate situation than us. But I'm also curious, like chronologically, about like how we got here.
Yeah.
From previous articles, I know you were kind of like raised and born into kind of the pizza industry. Right. But I wonder if this was something you were always set out to do, or because I read something about tech and stuff like that. But if you could take us back to maybe, was it Grandpa?
So
Grandpa Angelo.
There's two sides.
Okay.
You have Grandma Laverne Toomey. I'm half Irish, half Italian. So everyone thinks I'm like this like Italian South Sider, but shout out to my Irish.
Did you grow up in the city or South Side suburbs?
84th and Pulaski,
Okay.
and then we moved to Payless Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it started with Angie's Pizza, 84th and Pulaski. My grandfather was named Angelo.
So Angie's short for Angelo.
Yeah. Well, people don't call me that. I'm like,
Okay.
Angie. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like that. So, maybe Ange, meatball, who knows? I would rather that, But, yeah, so he, I guess going back.
Yeah.
So my grandfather, Angelo, had a bar.
Okay.
And it was called Angie's.
Okay.
He passed away, and then my father, at the age of 16, and his family started kind of a pizzeria. So when a bar was a bar back then in the 50s, it was just a bar. No food, no nothing. Maybe like, in those old movies, like pickled eggs,
Okay.
crackers or whatnot.
I didn't know pickled eggs were bar food.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of pickled things. That's old. It's like pickled.
I'm a fan of pickled things. I appreciate the giardiniera.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to Caruso's. There you go. Amazing giardiniera. So my father kind of took that leap, for his family, and the whole family kind of, went with it. My Uncle Robbie runs it now, but that was kind of near and dear to my heart. At one point in time, there was 4 restaurants in Chicago, way above our time. We were the first rooftop, downtown. Didn't really like why do we need to be outside, eating pizza, smoking and drinking, and that was like in the 70s, 80s. But that kind of closed down. But now we keep the original one on 84th and Pulaski. So food, pizza has been, really a big impact on my life and my family's life.
Have you had conversations with your dad, is your dad still around?
Yeah, yeah.
About at such an early age. Like, I wonder what age he actually like was thrust into that world, and if it's something that he wanted to do. I know I've a good buddy, Jake, who was thrust into like the car wash business because it's the family business.
Right.
But like, how does it work? Did he find some peace and semblance of like making it fulfilling for himself?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I always love watching like those like older videos, and of him and my mother like at the restaurant. The smiles, the laughter, again the camaraderie, and just meeting the neighbors and people that wanted to eat his pizza, and the enjoyment that my father saw people enjoying eating pizza.
Yeah,
it was a big thing. So, with that being said, he, at the age of 16, maybe pushed into that. Mm-hmm. He went to culinary arts school.
Oh, okay.
And then
after that?
After that.
Okay.
So high school, I think, I don't know if he's graduated high school or, dropped out of high school or was kind of doing both, but he went to the Cordon Bleu in Chicago, and where kind of wanted to elevate, the menu and kind of go full on focus. But now he does construction now. So he left the pizzeria to, my uncle who runs it to date, Uncle Robbie.
Did you ask why?
So, there's a lot. So I'm the oldest out of 7 kids. So to run kind of the restaurant side and the construction side,
So he felt pulled to construction. Or was it because it wasn't like I want to leave pizza?
No, yeah. So then he started, from the restaurant industry, he started building his own restaurants, and he's like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I could start doing this. So he took, the restaurant industry and using that kind of as a platform to do construction. And then at that point in time, he's like, oh, I know a lot of people. I've been in the restaurant industry, and the South Side community is so small, but so big at the same time. So
big but intimate, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. And so he used all those connections to build homes, liquor stores, and all that kind of stuff on the South Side.
And he just went all in
on
construction.
Yeah,
then.
absolutely. And it was nice too because growing up, my father, obviously we spent so much time together, but it was also hard because he was leaving work at 6 o'clock in the morning, opening up the restaurant, and then coming home at like 2 to 3 in the morning. So yeah, it was just like this crazy cycle.
For how long?
Oh, for a long time. But we would go to the restaurant, hang out with him, and everything like that. So he wasn't really never like dismissed out of my life. So he was just a hard worker, which kind of
blending work and play.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I gotta stop saying absolutely 100%. I've been told 100% and absolute should be like ripped from my vocabulary. But he was obviously a great role model of mine, and that's kind of shed some light on me and obviously all of our 6 other siblings that I have.
At what point did you guys downsize?
Downsize
to just one.
Just one. I think probably, I would say in 2000. I would say about 2005, 2010, right around there. I would assume.
It was just too many to juggle, or
yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I think when 2007 happened, was kind of a big hit. So we just wanted to focus where our kind of grassroots, where we kind of grew everything. In the South Side, and we have a great reputation out there. So great pizza, still regular customers that are still driving 30 to 40 minutes.
What can they expect at Angie's right now?
Yeah, Angie's, you're getting the Southside hospitality where, you're going to come in, you're going to, sit in your own seat, no one's going to greet you. And then you're sitting there, this is what it is. Yeah. This is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it saying it's like a Michelin star restaurant where we're going to like give you hand towels before you walk in.
We were just talking about ever.
Oh yeah, right. I know. And so it's the exact opposite. So you're going to sit down, and, we're going to, someone's going to come up to you. We have a great menu. And we actually have this amazing crack bread. It's called crack bread. It's like deep fried dough, and then it comes right out, and then it's buttered, little seasoning, and then it's like dipping for marinara. So I would say if you're showing up there, order that. Order everything at first because you're not going to order your soup and salad. No one's going to come back to you. Okay, they're like, okay, well, what else do you guys want to order? Make your first order right away. Your pizza, but you're going to get some amazing, awesome, legacy pizza that's been around since the 70s. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So around 50 years.
I feel like it's so intimate in the sense of like I unfortunately didn't hear it until I started, researching. But you hear about Vito's and X.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
We're actually, it's so funny. We're actually like right down the street. So yeah, so we are. We get a little overshadowed from Vito and X, and Vito and X. I unfortunately I can't try from it's just. If we're 3 doors down, you're not going to try your competitor's pizza. But I have full respect. Have full respect for the pizza industry and everything like that. And actually, I've never had the opportunity to actually eat Vito Next because I'm also, if I'm going there, I'm hanging out with my family, helping them out. Mm-hmm. And every time I go visit, I'm working like 2 hours. So I'm like, oh yeah, Uncle Robbie, I'm going to come down and visit you. And next thing you know, I'm bussing tables, pouring drinks. Maybe we should edit that out. I'm going to get in trouble.
That's valid, though.
Yeah.
With how limited our time is.
Correct.
And it is an interesting duality because, from the Chicago Pizza Summit of like how warm and how much camaraderie there is. Mm-hmm. At times, like reality, it's still a competition in a way, but healthy competition.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't even see it's competition because when the pizza community thrives, everyone thrives with it. Yeah. So if there's press, for Vito and Nick's, usually the pizza connoisseurs of Chicago, they're going to be trying multiple pizza places, in that area. Mm-hmm. So competition, I wouldn't say it's competition, but it's a community that thrives together, really, in Chicago.
Yeah. So seeing and observing your dad and maybe other family members make the most of his time within pizza, and then even watching him pivot to construction, right? How did that inform what you hope to do with your life? Like, because growing up, I was surrounded by people that came from the school of thought of like being born with a passion and trying to find that passion. How did that inform your decisions on like what does Angelo want to do?
Yeah. It was tough. It's kind of more of family morals, family ethics, and how I was raised to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So, my mother on the same page, she's also an entrepreneur. She runs a court reporting firm in Chicago. So we had two.
What do they do? A court reporting firm?
Stenographers, the people that type down everything. So it's pretty impressive.
Oh.
300 words in a minute.
Oh, wow.
All that kind of stuff. And so taking those, my two awesome parents that were entrepreneurs, taking us 7 kids everywhere. You take a step back and you're like, what is my passion? To kind of go back to my parents again, what their passion was to kind of raise us kids and making sure, we had the best life that they can give us. Mm-hmm. So when you take that, side of the formula and, put that in my, lap, I want to do the same. And right now I don't have any kids, but
Were you youngest of 7?
I'm the oldest of 7.
You're the oldest of 7?
Oldest of 7, yeah.
Gotcha.
And 5 sisters, and a brother.
You were the guinea pig.
I know. I was. We got the hand-me-downs from my cousins and everything like that. Experimental PG-13 movies until I was 13. Rated R movies until I know it was pretty strict, but obviously I found a way around that. But I would say what my passion from growing up and having 2 supportive parents, they're always hardworking, is kind of giving back.
Okay.
And supporting others and bringing joy to other people's lives. So that's,
which is very broad.
Yeah, it is. It is. So it is so broad. And I wish I could really narrow it down, but
to not diminish that, it's just like, who doesn't want to help people? Right.
Well, you'd be surprised sometimes. You'd be surprised. Yeah. Where I reach out to people and I'm like, hey, hey, would you like to register to volunteer? No, I'm busy. Thank you. Oh, no problem. Here's a sticker. Absolutely.
Sure.
Just follow us on Instagram. So, but you would think that everyone wants to, help people as just the common ground of humankind and humanity.
I guess the next question is to start exploring and identifying specific set of skills that you could use to help people.
Right.
And ideally monetize.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the skills that I bring to Doughnate Pizza is just maybe I talk too much, and who knows? Maybe
I hate small talk.
Do you?
But But the ability to do it, I
Yeah.
think, is invaluable.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that means that's a kind of a big defining moment of, what skill sets that you have and what you're bringing to people that are bringing joy. So I think in this world, everyone's a different person, and how people look at, people from a different level is really momentous. And hopefully people look at, that weird individual person that's not so weird in my mind. That kind of brings me joy when you could talk to, any certain category of people and relate.
Yeah.
So, which I enjoy.
So then, as we near the end of high school, what was going on through your mind? 'Cause college isn't for everyone.
No,
right?
no. Yeah, I mean, I went to college, and that was just definitely not for me. High school, when I ended high school, that was, fell in love. I fell in love with a girl, followed her in college.
That's beautiful.
It was, but things happen. Things happen. So kind of rocked my world for a little bit, and kind of set me. I traveled the world, did a study abroad program, went to St. Ambrose University, and then from Ambrose, traveled the world, and I came back and I go, wow, I think I belong in the city of Chicago. And my parents were pushing me to go to DePaul, and so I ended up going kind of to DePaul, and I come back with all this, Irish dance, tin flute credits, Irish, the Chicagoland or the Irish Gaelic language, and it was like year 2, and I'm like, okay, here are all my credits, and they go, oh my gosh, none of this is going to transfer. None of this is going to transfer.
And this was coming from Ambrose?
This is coming from.
So you did 1 year?
1 year at Ambrose, and then a year abroad. Yeah.
Okay, so after the year, you're like, maybe this isn't it for me?
So,
or were you trying to study abroad?
I was studying abroad.
You were studying abroad.
Yeah,
And you were studying, you went to Ireland? Or
Ireland,
where'd you go?
yeah, Ireland.
Oh.
Yeah. And even kind of, circling back, we talked about high school. Right after high school, I went to culinary arts school.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
Just another
In the
notch
sense
on
of
my
like
belt.
what, potentially joining the family business?
Yeah. And so I went to Kendall Culinary Arts School.
Was that your decision or your dad's decision?
That was my decision. I love cooking,
Ah.
and I loved, I was the neighborhood guy, so I would knock on doors. I'm like, hey, can I cook you a meal?
What?
Yeah, so I loved doing it, and my parents support. Like, I had no money, so my parents would support me, and picking up groceries and cooking for different
cook
families
the
on the
neighbors' dinner?
Yeah, it was awesome. It
Whoa.
was a cool time.
What'd you make?
Oh gosh, I loved vodka sauce because I was also 16, 17 at the time. I'm like, vodka, this is awesome.
A little for you,
Yeah.
a little for me.
I wish. My parents were just like, no. Oh, you're done with the vodka bottle? Yeah. Throw it in the cabinet. So, with that being said, it was short-lived. I really enjoyed it as a hobby, and it was great to meet my neighbors and cook for them. And they were and then they started giving me gift cards, like Trader Joe's or Jewel Osco, like, hey, we love this meal. Can you cook for our parties and stuff like that? But that kind of was a big, I guess,
Formative moment.
a formative moment, an ego boost to me at least, where I'm like, wow, this is something I can do really good.
You're bringing people together and you're
Right.
putting smiles on their faces.
Correct. Yeah, it was
It's a
awesome.
good feeling.
Yeah, it was the best. And maybe the food wasn't good, maybe they lied to me, but it was still a moment where I'm bringing something, they're eating it, and they're bringing a dish back to me, empty, clean. with
There's
a
so
thank you
much
note.
fulfillment in pouring time and energy that you can't get back.
No.
And then sharing that with someone.
Right.
And then the cherry on top is they actually enjoyed it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, we think they enjoyed it. So, I thought so, but who knows? Maybe too much vodka in the sauce. Maybe didn't cook it down, or, the pasta I didn't cook. So who knows?
But it informed you to go to culinary school.
I did. And it was great. My dad drove me every single day to Evanston, and we lived on the south.
Kendall was in Evanston?
Yeah, at the point in time, yeah. So this is going back.
Wow.
So it was great, but after year one, I kind of asked my father. I'm like, hey, I'm really enjoying this. I would love to work for the family business. How many hours am I going to be working a week? Once I graduate, can we talk through this? He's like, yeah, about 70 hours a week. I go, oh, okay. Hey, I was okay with it because I'm like, And at that point in time, like $20 an hour, maybe, since I'm like the owner's son, maybe this could like really work out. And I'm like $1,400 a week. That's a lot of money. I'm doing this. And I go, well, and okay, 70 hours a week. Yeah, that's cool, Dad. How much money can I make? He goes, an hour. He goes, absolutely zero. You're not working for us. And he goes, go find something, on your own.
Okay.
And, I always like, I didn't hate it. I'm like, okay, fine.
But
fine.
it was, I feel like that's hard to understand at that point in time.
At that point in time, but it was kind of the biggest blessing, for me, because I love cooking.
In the sense of like he didn't want to give something to you?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like in the construction world, like, so then I go to, college and I'm like, hey, can I, should I get my construction degree? No, go find a job. You're not working for me. So it was a big blessing. Like nothing was handed to me in terms of like, a direction or path.
Yeah.
But, how this world works, how this universe really puts everything in play. I was very blessed with some later on opportunities in life that wouldn't have happened to me if I went down that culinary, path in life.
Where did that mentality come to him from?
Probably he wanted something different from me. So he saw probably how hard it is to raise kids and raise a family.
It's pretty common, yeah.
In a restaurant.
Yeah.
And to manage that. So that's what
That's how you internalize it now.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. And seeing him still, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and coming home, at night, sleeping on the couch and doing that over and over again, and also having a healthy, amazing relationship with 7 kids, is a lot.
And thinking that if you just give something to your kid, like they might not work as hard.
Right. Yeah.
Or it's that perspective, and like not wanting your kids to have to work that hard.
Correct. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know, absolutely. There is absolutely again, but yeah. So it really is, again, a big blessing, for me, and to see my parents create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
So I have had the same opportunity to do so.
Interesting. What'd you think of Kendall? Was it everything you expected? Because my buddy didn't finish either, and he was like, "I'm not dicing carrots in the perfect cubes."
Yeah. Well, the only issue I had, which was when I was cooking at home for neighbors, which my mom and my dad were always just like, yelling at me like, "You got to clean up." So Kendall College, like I loved, slicing, dicing, julienning, all that kind of, good stuff, learning knife skills.
Yeah.
And just prepping like the coolest dishes in the world. So I did love that, but it was the cleanup part where I'm like, using this, I'm like, oh, I don't have a mother to do that, or like a sibling to help me out, like clean the dishes, or, my father's not like, hey, clean that dish. So I kind of learned a little bit about organization, but that just drove me nuts. Like the amount of dishes you touch. So, hats off to the chef that are very organized, that can cook a whole entire meal and have
So it's clean as you go.
Clean as you go.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what my biggest, I guess, takeaway from my short time over at Kendall. So
yeah, mise en place and cleaning.
Yeah. There you go. You know it all.
No, I know. So then, did you finish?
No.
So I feel like a lot of people don't finish.
No,
for whatever reason.
It's kind of like going to be a later in life thing for me, maybe, where I'm
okay. And it ain't cheap.
No.
Culinary school's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and it's a lot. It's a lot of a lot of work too.
And if you are learning more from working in a kitchen than you are in culinary school,
right.
You start losing you start not seeing the point of it anymore.
Correct. Yeah. It was a great experience. But I
wonder how they feel. I wonder how Kendall feels. I wonder if they really want people to matriculate all the way through, or if they're okay with just people using it as a stepping stone.
Yeah, it could, because I met a lot of people from Kendall, same thing, that have been there for 2 years, and then they jump and work right into the restaurant. So it's almost like one of those, the ideas of
if the restaurants don't require it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And there's some great chefs to date that never went to culinary school. They started from, the bottom up. And so that's the whole kind of also ideology of going to college these days anyways. Like, can you work in a position, in a role in technology or sales or, and can someone teach you from 8 to 5 every single day while you're getting paid, to learn those skill sets.
Yeah.
When you're probably more motivated to do so, since someone's paying you, and
Right.
you're creating a future. So it's a kind of a whole nother world.
Sure. So then, what led you to walk away?
So me following my father's guidance, I would say, and taking it more or less as a hobby.
Okay.
So, I really respect my parents' opinions, and, if one of them or both of them say, hey, do something that, is different, I will listen and I will do that. Even though
What was your heart telling you, though? Because,
Yeah.
I know there's a certain, for me, age range where,
Yeah.
I just want to rebel no matter what.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, that was then to college, because you're going to culinary art school and you're not meeting a lot of people. My father's driving me, so my my social connectivity was not there.
Sure.
And then I get all my buddies are going to all these colleges. They're rebellious and drinking, not going to class. I'm like, that's what I need. That's exactly what I need in my life. So that's what I did. So it was an interesting time, and again, so that's kind of the path I followed.
And that was, so then you went to Ambrose.
Went to Ambrose, yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And what was it, just to have a good time, or was it?
There was no point of school for me.
Okay.
I mean, it was
Okay.
just a complete party
At
scene.
that time, you following the girl?
I did. I
Okay.
did. I
Okay.
followed. Wow, we're getting in deep over
If
here.
you're okay with
Let's
it.
go. Let's go. Followed a girl. Didn't work out, and traveled the world, which was a phenomenal opportunity for me. Just that was my first time outside the country, and I was
Oh.
outside the country for.
To see the motherland.
See the motherland. That's what it is. I'm like, oh, there's Grandpa. There's oh, Ma, this guy's got the same last name as you. Like, oh, did you meet him? Like, no, he was actually in the ground in a grave. I'm like,
Have they been?
Yeah, no. No,
What?
I know. So that having 7 kids, their whole focus is the kids and raising the kids. So I actually ended up taking them on their first international trip, maybe a year before COVID, to Spain, and they're just they're so cute. They're I wrote this whole agenda, and all my dad wanted to do was sit at a bar and drink, and all my mother wanted to do was go to all the churches and churches and stuff like that. So, and that's where kind of a person I am. I love the local taverns, also, and I love the history of all these locations. So, those are my parents in a nutshell.
So
right there.
you had a great time.
Yeah.
And was there a point where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I and maybe I get this from my dad, where I'm like, hey, I'm like, you like work? He goes, I have no idea what I'm going to do when I grow up. And he's, late 60s. So I'm like, oh, okay. I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. And, but when I was going through college, I had no direction, no flow, but I just had the guidance of, just, again, my parents, my family morals and ethics and work ethic, to kind of say, hey, get a job right away. So when I ended up going to DePaul, I worked at a call center when I was 17 years old, and worked there for a while I was taking night classes as well. Okay. So at Ambrose, no flow. It was kind of just a high school Southside reunion, and it was crazy. Probably one of the craziest times of my life. Good crazy.
Where is Ambrose? I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar.
It's in the Quad Cities.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So Illinois. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think that's also kind of the immaturity. You're rebellious, for freshmen.
You go with who you know and what you know.
Right,
okay.
right, yeah. And so, I mean, Ambrose was great. You meet a lot of great people. They gave me the opportunity to study abroad. But after that, I kind of came back. I'm like, wow, I need money to do this all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I started working. And DePaul had some great programs, some work programs where, hey, if you're here and you're 17, 18, 19 years old, we can give you full-time jobs or
So the
part-time
call center
jobs.
was at DePaul?
It was an affiliate program
out
of DePaul. So yeah.
Do you probably learned how to deal with people saying no a lot?
Yeah. But it was I still remember my first sale, which was great.
What were you selling?
So we were selling telecom. So it was all internet.
Okay. Okay.
You know, those big DSL.
To students?
To businesses.
Oh.
Yeah. So I sold internet. You know, that big green thing that would sit, you know, all dial up, 1.5 megabits per second.
Like a modem?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're selling those things. T1s, bonded T1s. I had no idea what I was talking about. But it was just, you know, the conversation of like, hey, we can get you faster and cheaper, you know. And I would always listen to the sales reps that were, you know, always ringing the bell. I'm like, okay, this is cool.
Like every time a sale went through?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And so I started listening and learning. But I remember my first sale, which is very like adrenaline rushed. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I just made $20 and I'm so excited. And $20, you know, it's a good amount of money for that age and for, you know, my first sale. But then I started, which was really weird, some services that we couldn't offer. I started offering those services. So we didn't represent Comcast at the time. And I said, you know, I call up these owners like, oh, we want Comcast. I'm like, you know what? I can help you out. So then I would call up Comcast and I would bridge the two, you know, business and Comcast. And, you know, the guy's like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thinking that I get commission off that. So I just loved like helping also small businesses as well, you know, getting what they wanted and what they needed rather than taking advantage of the whole complete scenario and situations being, you know, a sales guy. And sales guys sometimes get a really bad rap. You know, always kind of, you know, doing whatever it takes to get the sale. To get the sale. So
you're a rare breed.
Well,
or
yeah.
are you? I
yeah.
mean, did you meet a lot of people of the same mindset? Or?
Not that. Not it's.
But that's
yeah.
also, I don't know if you were surrounded by other peers of that similar age, you know, and demographics of call, you know, center people might differ.
Yeah, it was. You know, I was definitely kind of a different person than that. I don't think people would, you know, stay on a phone call for 45 minutes, you know. I mean, my boss
so what
didn't.
Do you need again?
Yeah, well, yeah. My boss did not really like it. He's like, why are we on the phone for 45 minutes? I'm like, well, just, you know, helping him out. Well, and the cool thing was the guy had my number, my contact information. And, you know, later he calls me up. He's like, hey, you know, we have another site, but Comcast isn't here. Can I work through you? So I'm like, oh, absolutely. So we ended up selling, you know, 10 other internet locations through this guy, which ended up being like the biggest sale of my life. But it just started with that doing good and not taking advantage of the scenario and situation.
Just it'll come back.
Right. So it did come back, and I was very blessed, and that's kind of my life lesson and ideology.
And what were you studying at DePaul at night?
It was marketing.
Okay.
So I never understood accounting. So it took me a while. I think it was like 6.5 years because I took all that Irish dance, tin flute, which didn't really transfer over. And so it was a big reality check, like accounting. I think I failed it like two times.
Accounting's tough.
Oh, so tough.
Accounting's tough.
You know, FIFO, LIFO, this balance, like, I don't know.
Balance sheets.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. So, but, you know, luckily now I have an accountant that does all that stuff for me. So I don't have to understand it at all. A lesson later in life.
Marketing's fun.
Marketing was awesome.
How did DePaul pitch it to you guys?
So marketing was, because there's so many different branches of marketing. So you have like the advertisement branch, you know, the classic marketing, you know, branch, social media. And social media kind of just first came out when I was going through school. And then also sales marketing. So there was a sales marketing program that I was, you know, I guess involved with. That was my high-end focus.
Okay.
And it was great. It was great. It was we did a lot of fundraising. I had a teacher named Clancy Ryan. I don't know if he's still at DePaul, but we actually raised money during the sales program. The sales program was, you know, reaching out to your connections and bringing them together to raise money for kids that couldn't afford to go to DePaul University.
Wow.
So it was a totally, like, you know, everyone thinks sales is, you know, hey, I want you to take this finance opportunity and I want you to sell you this fund or this product. So they really focused it on human connection and people, and it was just like this crazy euphoric experience to like, wow, this is a very easy sale. Like this is not even sales. You're talking to people. Your sale pitch is, hey, can you support someone that doesn't have the opportunity to pay for school or
Yeah.
go to DePaul University, and it was kind of mind altering, from there.
And so I've been saying this recently of like enjoy being a facilitator or
Yeah.
like connecting people, and I guess sales is kind of similar in the
Yeah.
sense of like you're sometimes helping people realize they need something that they don't have.
Yeah. It was really cool. So it was like you're brokering what people need, in life, and want also. So
One of my favorite classes, I didn't finish an MBA program, but like one of my favorite classes was consumer behavior.
oh really?
And trying to find out why people do the things they do or buy
Yeah.
the things they buy. And it can get dark real quick. It can get like kind of manipulative. You're tugging on people's heartstrings and stuff if you can get inside their psyche. And
Isn't that weird?
yeah.
And especially technology these days, where
Oh.
you have like the whole laundry list of things that you do from a day-to-day perspective. I'm like, Victor, why did you click on this button? Well, we can tell you.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes people feel like your phone's listening to you.
Right.
But subconsciously, you probably clicked on something similar or something
Right.
related to it, and it just that's how tech works.
Yeah, it is a weird world. It is a weird world. So, I mean, I go to all these conferences, and it gets really crazy how much data collection is there, how much you have on a person, and then you're selling that information
Yeah.
to gain a sales or a product
Yeah.
capture.
Knowing people more than they know themselves.
I know. Oh. I should actually probably look at that. I should probably hire someone for me. Like, who am I? Who am I? Yeah. Well, you drink too much coffee, you have too much energy, Yeah. You love pizza too much. Things I know. Yeah.
So what came after DePaul? Did you finish DePaul?
Finished DePaul.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I actually just found that out like.
What?
No, I'm not even kidding. Because you ever get that dream where you're just sitting there and you're like, you forget to finish like one
I
class.
have a recurring dream.
See?
It looks like I'm in like high school and I show up to class late and then I realize there's a quiz or a test and I actually didn't do my homework and I'm
Right.
like, why am I in this? It's
Yep.
a recurring dream.
Yep, absolutely. It was the craziest thing. So I ended up Googling myself maybe about 4 years ago, and I'm like, gosh, did I finish? So I start like searching the web, and I'm actually on my graduating class as a marketing major. And I'm like, okay, I could put this to rest. Dream went away, and I always had this flimsy envelope that I never opened from DePaul University. And after that, I looked at it. I opened it up. I'm like, oh, it's a degree.
Oh, you
After
never,
all
you never
these
walked
years.
or anything like that?
No, because I was always working, full time.
okay,
So
okay.
it was tough to kind of like balance the two. It was 8 to 5, and then night classes.
Were you always at the call center or did you move on to something else?
Yeah, so I moved on to something else, another technology company, and so I was kind of bopping into tech and tech sales, and so that ended up being from 8 to 5, 6 to 9. So every single day for 4 more additional years of my life.
Doing that in conjunction with marketing and sales, did you feel like this is kind of what you're going to do after you finish school?
It was great to do, and it's almost like you meet so many great people in the industry. It's kind of your normal things after you do it for 15, 16 years, and you know so much. And so right now it's just works. That side of my companies now are just so easy because you surround yourself with great clients, which are like my best friends, and amazing people that support you, understand if there's like some mistake, which we try not to make mistakes. So it's something that you learn to know and learn to love.
So you've started. You have your own businesses.
Yes. Yeah. So 2.
How far after school did that start?
So I started my my first telecom company.
Wow.
At the age of 19.
That's a similar story to the EMT class.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, I'm going to go do this on my own.
Yeah. It was really cool. And starting your own business, like, it is so adrenaline rushing, and you're just learning
They don't teach you in high school.
No, they don't teach you this stuff. So, and especially you just learn. You surround yourself with like other people that you can rely on, and you're asking all these questions, and you're learning. And you, like, I was watching something this morning where if you're not learning every single day, your mind like slowly doesn't like perform, certain tasks, and you stop growing as a person. So, at that younger age, I'm just learning just all of this stuff. And again, they don't teach you this in high school, not really in college either. And it was a great opportunity. So I quit.
It's addictive.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was.
What made it real for you before the quitting? Because did you start having conversations with your peers at work of like, hey guys, starting this thing, if you want to come with me, or
right. I mean, I was just a one man show. It was. I saw a guy pull up in a what was it, a Cadillac, and I go, wow, that car's beautiful, and I'm driving, grandma's, beat me down, a car that's, way older than I was. And I'm like, what does that guy do? He's like, oh, that guy runs his own telecom company, but he started working here. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is really cool. So I kind of had, saw that happen. And, but going back to the peers part, it's mostly, again, my parents, relying on them. They're business owners. They've been through it. They have, the legal advice, the financial advice. Oh, wow. And all that.
So they were supportive in when you told them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so
absolutely.
Cool.
So it was a slow start, and I also, worked at a, another IT company while I started my first business, because
you got to fund the business.
You got to fund the business somehow. A lot of people don't know that, where you're like as you do, like, how do we make this work if I have 0 clients? If I'm starting out, like, you can't be employed for 2 to 3. Well, again, that's just my idea. People do it all the time, from crowdfunding and VCs and stuff like that. But I'm a 19-year-old kid, still going to college, running a company, and then also working at another tech company, and so it was a lot.
What did you feel like you could do differently in your own business that you couldn't do at the previous?
Oh boy, I mean, just customer service, having that relationship. It was, call centers are just make 400 calls a day.
It's a volume.
Yeah, it's a volume business. My company, it's relationship based. How can we do this? What can we do better? And we're having these conversations, and we have a lot of fun. Like, nothing's better than a client just, I don't want to say like makes fun of me, but just like, oh, here we go, Angelo, here we go again. I'm like, okay, all right, everyone relax. Just having that open dialogue and communication. Again, those are, my best friends to date. That support me, and having also clients that support you, and friends that support you through your business, which is really cool.
Remember the feeling when the first stranger did business with you?
Oh yeah,
it's one thing for family and friends to support you.
Oh yeah.
But when a stranger does it.
Oh yeah. There was one of my close friends now who was a stranger. Beautiful. And that's actually how all of my good friends are. They all were strangers, and I love surrounding myself with like awesome people that have amazing energy, that are very positive, and are also a little crazy. so we could very complement each other. I say something stupid, you say something stupid. It's great. No one understands what's going on, and we just still smile and laugh at each other. So it was great. It was when I was like 21 years old. This guy ended up taking a meeting with me.
Okay.
And he's like, you're absolutely crazy, saying all this stuff, like, but I like you a lot. And then he gave me some opportunities to also meet some amazing other strangers, clients that are also, very best friends with, and clients of mine. So that was my first kind of stranger moment. And then we ended up like grabbing like coffee together, and then like lunches, and then we're not even talking about work anymore. We're just hanging out, once a week, or twice a month, and it was just like this great relationship and friendship, kind of ever since. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I know, I get emotional. This is what happens when I have 5 little sisters.
So then what came after that? I think I read in an article of like you were seeking something a little bit more fulfilling.
Yeah, like in the tech world and tech business. It's great meeting amazing people and selling technology to help grow businesses, but for me, it was not as rewarding.
At what point did you start getting that feeling?
Yeah, I would say probably maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. It was kind of just very repetitive.
Well, how long were you doing the business for?
the business was the telecom business was for probably 12, 13 years.
That's a long time, and you've reached success by that point.
Yeah, we're very successful.
And you just like maybe start asking yourself like, what else?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was, what else can we do? What else can I do? Because it gets just very repetitive. We're doing the same stuff every single day, and again, going back to that learning mode and doing something different. I was very comfortable, and I always say the worst thing you could possibly do in business or in a social setting is just to be too comfortable. And maybe that's just me. I make things.
Yeah. I mean, if someone's not complaining, there's nothing to fix.
Right. But if you're just not learning anymore, you're sitting there doing your day-to-day stuff, nothing new and exciting. That really kind of hit me hard.
Yeah.
And so
you were looking for
something else.
Were you trying to brainstorm ways within tech to change things?
Yeah. So I was like thinking maybe a tech nonprofit where people can buy technology through me, and my profit goes back to schools or shelters, and we can create these tech programs.
Really like the project you worked on at DePaul.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. Yeah, that was a big game changer for me. So there's a lot of things in my life that kind of came up to where I am at now, and big points. And
so then brainstorming those ideas, were you not? It didn't stick as well as eventually pizza did, but like.
It took me a while to kind of go back to my family roots and think of who I am, what I am, how was I raised, what things are near and dear to my heart. Because yes, giving back is one. Now I'm in the tech world. I'm like, okay, I give back. Everyone's happy. I'm like, God, this is just not what I should probably be doing.
That's so interesting. It feels good to give back, but like for some reason it's still empty.
Right. I mean, you buy you buy like 100 socks and you give it to someone. It's like, okay, here you go. It's a very like temporary fix.
Yeah. I mean, temporary in the sense of like it's still. I mean, how does it feel with pizza though? Right.
Right.
It's consumed and then it's kind of over.
It is consumed.
But is it closer to your core identity?
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, when people recognize me, in these shelters and bringing in pizza,
you're already salivating.
They are ready. They are ready to go. And we take some like great pictures, great moments where they like want to be part of like Doughnate Pizza. Like, hey, take a video of me eating this pizza. And it's just like this great social connection that I get. And even when our volunteers come back, like, we had a great time. Thank you so much. This is so, rewarding. And then, the individuals in the shelters recognize the volunteers. I want everyone to be so close. I want to create, we are creating a community where there's communication. No one feels awkward. Everyone's talking to everyone. Everyone's working together. So, but yeah, going back, pizza was something that I loved and brought joy. Like technology, if I'm
were you eating a lot of pizza at that point? Were you still eating pizza?
I mean, if you could see me, I eat a
you
lot of pizza.
You look built.
I wish. I threw a couple slices of pie in here. But yeah, I still eat a lot of pizza. I ate pizza. It's so crazy. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So you can't get
Sunday. I love, and every pizza's different.
Yeah.
Every pizza's different. It's so simple. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get enjoyment from pizza. Like there's no way, I've never seen anyone where I'm bringing a hot box of pie and they're smiling. And that's so cool. It's so rewarding to me. It's just the simple things that we take for granted that we don't realize brings joy to other people's lives. Yeah. So it's great.
So walk me through coming back to creating potentially a nonprofit through the vessel or lens of pizza.
Yeah. So, we talked about the restaurant side of, my family's restaurant, legacy and, what they've done on the South Side Chicago, Angie's Pizza. And then going back to my grandmother. And so it's actually, two grandmas that were awesome. Like one from the Italian side, the pizza side, and then one on the Irish side. She always volunteered her time. And
In what?
In
Soup
soup kitchens, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Soup kitchens. So she's 90 years old, still going. And she was one of the strongest, actually both grandmas were like so strong, such strong women in my life. But the volunteering side, Grandma Toomey, she was always doing it, 90 years old. Then my mother kind of took reign. She's also now focused in nonprofits on the south side. So, but I remember growing up as well, like we would go with my mom. And it was forced. It was all forced. Like wow.
And you appreciate it these days.
Yeah, it's the kind of the growing pains of what we've done, why did we do it, and what impact it made on our lives. Yeah. So all 7 of us kids, go to these shelters. We cook, then we would talk. But after every single time, obviously we're forced to go. But coming out of that, like wow, it was great to have a conversation with someone like my age that doesn't have a place to sleep tonight, or doesn't have a mother and father, or that.
Before you can kind of register and understand to the fullest depth of it, did you ever ask your parents, like, why can't Joe or Jimmy, come and stay at our place?
Yeah. Well, I just realized, I asked my mother, or someone asked my mom, what I wanted to be when I grew up.
You asked your mom that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I said, because everyone knows, I don't think you recognize what conversations you have with your mother at the age of 8, 9, and 11. And she's like, yeah, you wanted to be a priest.
So, this is you kind of asking her from back then.
Correct. Yeah, I'm like,
a priest.
Yeah, a priest. I'm like, a priest? I go, I don't know if I would have been a really good priest. She goes, no, you always cared for people. And she brought up a moment where, growing up on the south side, 84th and Pulaski, there was a lot of homeless people on the street, like kids, adults with their kids. And I would always tell my parents, pull over, let's give them money. And I'm 12 years old, not knowing what, $20, $10, really is. And so I always had compassion for, kids my age that just are on the street in the rain and the snow. It is still mind-boggling to me, that still goes on, and it crushes me every time I see it. So, yeah.
So connect the dots for me.
Yeah.
As far as working with this demographic of the homeless community, people without homes, and pizza.
Yeah.
Kind of what was the light bulb moment?
The light bulb moment was me and one of my other friends were talking about, how can we give back? We love pizza. I started talking about my grandmother volunteering, kind of giving back, but we didn't connect pizza yet.
Were you at a pizzeria?
We were eating pizza at my house, and we're like, oh, we have to donate. Should just donate something. And we're just pacing around. We had a couple cocktails. We're just cocktails and pizza. We're pacing around
brownies.
Yeah. We were feeling really good, and we're like, what can we do, better in our community? Let's just donate something. And then we both look at the pizza. We're like, what if we donate pizza? And we're like, donate pizza.
For the longest time, I thought your name was Nate.
You
get that a lot?
So a couple times, and there was one. Maybe the name gets confusing a little bit.
It's a good name.
Doughnate is a great name, but there was a little girl, and I'm like, because someone said you should be pizza donate, and I'm like, no, donate pizza, and I'm like, donate pizza. That's the name. We're sticking with it. Then I show a hat that was embroidered that said donate pizza. I go, do you like this? She goes, oh. Doughnate. Yes. I'm like, oh. I go, I hope this is not confusing. So I got a little, I just said, oh, it's okay. Here, you can have this hat, but it's donate pizza. And she's like, oh my gosh, so sorry, So the name I think is still clever. It's great, and that's kind of
okay. So that was the light bulb.
Yeah, the light bulb moment. But there's just so much more too, partnering up with shelters and pizzerias. We had no idea this was all going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm sure you started, boots on the ground before making it legit.
Yeah.
But what were your next steps then?
Yeah, our next steps, we built a website. And,
Oh, wow, okay.
I go 100%. Whenever I have like a light bulb idea, there's maybe like 1,000 ideas.
Is that coming from your tech background?
Yeah.
Or? Ah.
And I create it, and then I would say a lot of them just like, okay, this is not working out. This is not working out. So Doughnate Pizza, we registered as a 501c3.
Wait, if you remember, how many did not make it?
Oh.
Just to give people perspective.
Okay. Well, here's just one of them. One idea was called Pillow Plug. Okay. And it was a pillow. Okay, where there's a docking station in your pillow, and you can charge.
That's pretty genius, actually.
And so, because I always hated when there was like a significant other laying next to you, and they're reading a book, and so it had speakers inside the pillow and a vibrating alarm in your pillow. Whoa. So rather than you're sick. Maybe I should still work on this. Who knows?
Maybe.
But when nothing was worse than waking up in the morning and someone's alarm's going off. You're like, come on. So rather than an alarm, it would just be a vibration through the pillow.
This sounds like a product from Cinco, which is from Tim and Eric.
See? Oh yeah, see, there you go. I love Tim and Eric. It was like, so that was one of them, and so yeah, pillowplug.com. I still own, but there's no website.
How many did you go through, like quantity, before one stuck?
So I would say probably 3. So Doughnate Pizza, and then 2 technology companies are the ones that are sticking and have been around for a while. I would say 25
Holy
of them have not.
They're still in the ether somewhere.
They're there. It's probably like, someone probably is doing research on me right now or Googling names like tableswap.com. That's another one where during COVID we created like this, people taking reservations and wanted to swap reservations with people.
Oh.
So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Why don't Open Table?
I know. Table swap.
What?
I know. So, but it was just, it's a lot.
Like I could see them buying that from you.
I know. Maybe we got to edit this out. Maybe me and you start working on this thing. Let's go.
Okay, so coming back to Doughnate Pizza, what were the practical next steps in addition to the website? Did the website make it real for you then?
The website always makes it real, where it literally motivates
like
you.
Making a logo and things like that?
Logo.
Okay. And,
the logo was great where, we wanted, 2 hands just passing out a piece of pizza.
Oh,
so we partnered up with, 4 of the most amazing artists that I know in Chicago. Blake Jones, Ello, Cosmo, JPack, and Bird Milk. And Bird Milk created our logo, today, and it's awesome. So then creating the website, it's like when you're talking about, your business and your nonprofit, you want to show something to them. So a website really makes it real, where you're like, hey, this is about us. This is us.
Did you have help forming the 501c3?
So just from a legal perspective, lawyers, yeah, that was about it.
Oh, okay.
So it took some time, took some capital, but I know, like, this is what I wanted to do, and this would always be with me.
And the plan was to get funding from private groups rather than like grants, or was that so I had no experience writing grants. Like this class was originally going to be a nonprofit because we wanted to just open it up to anyone, especially in the community.
Right.
But I just didn't. It was easier to make it private first.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about grants, which starting to now get to know things. But it's all private money. So individuals, corporations,
donations,
and donations, DOUGH. NATIONS. Donations.
Yeah.
So it was great. So when starting off, we created our portal for donations, and we get our first $100. So I go to Giordano's, and right away, for me at least, working downtown, I was like, oh, Michigan Avenue's always filled with homeless individuals. So we buy was it 3 pizzas?
The article said 3.
3? Yeah, I think it's 3 pizzas
Yeah.
for $100. And we're tax exempt, so nothing was cooler than like, hey, there's tax on there. Do you mind removing that tax?
Interesting.
So $100 got...
And that's with a separate like nonprofit credit card, or
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
it has to be all kosher.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like there's so many legalities, and like we get audited all the time now, and it's like And they're like, yep, nope, it's all 100 because we're 100% volunteer based. So
Okay.
every single dollar is going to pizza and feeding, feeding shelters, organizations, and people on the street.
And was that a goal from the very beginning?
Absolutely. I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves is when you're donating money to a nonprofit organization, and yes, they send you like great pictures, and they say, "Oh, thank you so much for helping us." I wanted to know where my money's going, and I created this organization just so every single dollar is going towards what you think, rather than paper clips or paper or someone's salary or bathroom supplies.
But what if someone doesn't have the luxury of having a day job to fund all their nonprofit?
Right.
Because the nonprofit is work too.
Correct. Absolutely. So, and I think later in life or later during this process, grants will probably kick in for us. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, if someone wants to do that for a living,
it's everyone has a different personal relationship with money, right?
Correct.
And I think you're right with like in the sense of being transparent. Because people do want to know where their money is going and can it go farther somewhere else or wherever. But at the same time, it's fair to get compensated for your work.
No, absolutely. 100%. I'm doing absolutely 100% all in one sentence.
We're just on the same wavelength.
Right. I get it. But, there's these larger corporations where like 6% of your dollar goes.
Oh.
So you donate $100.
And how do you know that? It's just because they were transparent with that? Or?
It's all public knowledge online. So you could see how much your donation actually goes from like, Red Cross, Salvation Army, and all that kind of stuff. So, I would say like if someone doesn't have the funds to do so and to support like a nonprofit, take a salary, take what you need, but also make sure you're transparent and don't take advantage of the situation of money coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure it's difficult, and every group is a little different. But at the beginning, it's like we're not working with a lot of money, so your ability to be 100% volunteer based is special.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it is huge, for us. But it might change. Especially we're getting some crazy donations right now from like even the Netherlands. I did a live radio interview on WGN, and next thing you know, I'm like, whoa, we just received like $300 from Netherlands. I'm like, are they tuning into Chicago news? Who knows? I don't know where they found out about us, but
so does that curiosity lead you to finding these people?
I do every single donation. Like it is funny because I'm like, do I know this person? Did I meet this person? And if I have like in my Rolodex, if I don't know them, I'm like, wow, it's very, very rewarding when a stranger that I don't know donates
supports you
to our cause.
Yeah.
So it is.
I
really cool.
hope you have the capacity to do that even as you continue to grow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It is great. And I send out really private messages to everyone as well. I
remember, you asked for messages. I gave you a message to write on a pizza box last year during the wintertime.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
I hope you do that again.
Yeah, we want to make it very intimate. I think it was it Valentine's Day?
Oh, maybe it was Valentine's Day.
Was it Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I know it was cold out. I think it was Valentine's Day.
We reached out to a bunch of people to write, small messages to the homeless community for Valentine's Day, and that was just really cool. So that was very emotional for me during that period of time because Valentine's Day they don't have a lot of loved ones, and the homeless community here in Chicago is mostly individuals that are around our age that don't have any family or friends. So that started a new job that's not paying them or commission based, and they're hanging out in these shelters. And it's crazy to me that I look at these individuals and they always go, I'm like, hey, are you volunteering? Guy in a suit and tie. He's like, no, I live here. And these are some amazing people that I don't think we should consider homeless or put them in a silo of a column of hungry, but just more or less unfortunate. And so that's where Doughnate Pizza kind of comes in, and we love talking to them and everything like that.
While we're on that topic, is there a desire to get out of that situation, and it's just the circumstances are so against them?
Yeah. I would say the circumstances are against them right now, but they're using this as kind of a temporary fix. And what Doughnate Pizza does, if we're not there, the individuals, the caseworkers that are helping these individuals from a mental illness standpoint or getting these guys and girls and the LGBTQAI individuals jobs and housing, they would be cooking. They would be spending lunch 2 hours cooking, dinner 2 hours cooking, rather than spending 4 to 6 hours a day spending with the individuals there to get them better, get them out, get them housed. They would be cooking. So we're kind of taking and giving
Some
them
of that burden off of their
right.
hands.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have you worked with A Safe Haven?
Not
Have you
yet.
heard of that?
I have heard of them.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
If give me their contact
Yeah,
information.
the
we would love
previous
that.
president just retired, but it was like a family friend.
Oh, really?
And, I volunteered a couple times in their soup kitchen. But their concept is to give you and there's three. There's probably more now, but categories of where people can get rehabilitated in the
Really?
sense of the culinary arts,
Yeah.
and or landscaping.
Wow.
And I think there's a few others too, but they partner with Sodexo and they get them jobs
Yeah.
and things like that, and put them through workshops of how to write a resume, how to interview, give them a tire, all with it's all that they give a key
Mhm.
to a place to live in,
Right.
contingent that they go to all these workshops, volunteer in the
Wow.
place, and they're giving back, and they help them become individuals again,
Right.
productive members of society.
that's awesome.
And these can be veterans, these can be previously incarcerated individuals, it can be single moms, single dads, people with kids, all
Yeah,
types.
That's. I would love to work with them, and that sounds like an awesome program because they're motivated to get them out and
Yeah.
healthy, housed, and jobbed.
And
employed.
so someone from the outside who knows of a place like that, I'm sure there's limited capacity, right? But
Yeah.
it makes you wonder how many people that are on the streets choose to be on the streets
Mhm.
versus are there and they're trying to climb their way out of a hole.
Right. It's really tough to.
And especially with mental health, and like you said, a lot of them have caseworkers, and there are people rooting for them and wanting to be by their side, but everyone has their own shit going on too,
Correct.
right? So at what point, and I've asked other people this too, and they say don't or you never, but I was like, at what point do you give up? At what point do you just
Yeah.
let it go?
Right. Yeah. I was just talking to my mother the other day, and she was working with an individual and a caseworker just like her, and this guy backed this mother in keeping her child, and so he checked up on her. The judge hey, I'm gonna watch over her and everything around those lines, and as the story goes, he goes in there. She's not answering the phone. She's high, needle in her kid's right there. So he's over there. He starts screaming. He's telling him what he's put his life on the line.
Yeah.
For his job on the line. Backing her from a legal perspective, and she's taking advantage of the scenario. So she ends up getting better. Same thing happens again. She relapses, and then the kid is just one or 2 years old. Again, he does the exact same thing. Doesn't give up. End of the story is this woman, who I won't talk, reveal any names, is a very powerful individual in Chicago. And if that person just gave up on her, she wouldn't be, who she was today. And I get emotional just talking about that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's really cool.
Prime example of not
Yeah.
giving up.
See, what are you doing to me?
What
What are you doing to me over here? Gets me.
I hope that sticks with all listeners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because from an outsider's perspective, it's easier to give up.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And so pizza has become a vessel for you to connect with people you otherwise have no business connecting with.
Correct. Yeah, it is a great way to, because pizza is very relatable. Everyone loves it. Everyone likes it, and it is kind of like a talking point conversation, and it brings joy to me and joy to the people at the shelter.
You now, especially with your partners, been able to even accommodate people that are gluten-free or vegan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's kind of where we started off, and being more organized. I take every donation very serious. Like that's our money to use towards good. So when we first started off going to the Giordano's, buying 3 pizzas, we walked all over the street, and we didn't know how many people had these dietary restrictions, such as like vegan, gluten-free.
So what pies did you get from Giordano's?
Oh, we got
Like cheese sausage?
yeah, cheese, cheese, sausage, and pepperoni. So, and so we're walking on the street, and there's so much dietary restrictions. We had like, whoa, okay, so we're not passing out pizzas today. How is this gonna work? So then I started Googling shelters. I'm like, okay, well, this is like a bad idea. The Doughnate pizza is not going to work. It's very sad. Man, we could check off number 26 on the list. And what we ended up doing was going to a shelter, and I've been trying to get into the shelter forever. Again, these shelters are focused and should be focused on the individual. So the staffing is the response of getting volunteered or donating meals. It's always really tough. So I've been trying to get in the shelter for a while.
Do you remember which one?
Lincoln Park Community Services off of Fullerton. And the girl that was working there was really busy, so she could never answer my phone calls, and I would call up there, leave her messages. So finally, I have these 3 pizzas, and I go to the shelter and knock on the door, and take it, listeners, take it as you want, but I pretended to be a homeless person because I'm like, I want to get in here and I wanted to see what the shelter's about. And I have 3 pizzas and no one's answering me. So I ring the doorbell. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I was like, what do you, I'm like, oh, just here, I'm hiding the pizzas. Next thing you know, they open up the door, and I'm
You
like,
truly believe they wouldn't have opened the door otherwise?
I don't know, because I actually have done it before, and I've called them like, hey, I'm here. Oh, she's not available.
Oh,
So
that's so interesting.
it is.
But it worked. Okay.
It worked.
You're
So I take these 3 pizzas and I bring them in, and I start chatting with all the workers, talking about who we are, and what we're doing. And they're like, we don't have any lunch right now. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Like, the individuals here would be eating like chili out of a can, and it's the food just horrendous at these shelters. And I know they're trying their best with the amount of money that they have and the funding that they have. So we're bringing 3 hot pies from Giordano's, and everyone just crowds around. And next thing you know, I talked to one of the managers for there. I'm like, how can we schedule meals and things I didn't know. They have we could register online and all this other stuff. There were things I didn't know from just doing some basic research. And now we feed that shelter 4 times a month, which is great. So it's awesome. We have a great partnership, great relationship with them, and even the workers are just so happy to see us. Like, oh man, are you bringing that other pizza too? Because we feed them as well. We take care of them, and they don't get like the good stuff from us, and pizza in general. They're usually Jack's. No offense with Jack's Pizza.
Jack's is great.
It's great. But how many times can you have Jack's? Like, the community of the shelter's like, what is this? What is this deep looking piece? I'm like, that's Detroit style pizza. This is Sicilian. This is cracker thin tavern. This is New York. And I love giving like an overview of the pizza before. I feel like, again, I am at like a Michelin star. I'm serving, I'm like, well, here we have 4 types of cheeses, gorgonzola. So some of like the other like crazy stuff.
What if we did a field trip?
Yeah.
What if what if we brought them to a pizzeria?
I'm in. We should do that. Cause they don't know much. Like, I remember Zaza's.
Shout out Zaza.
Oh.
She's so
Sue?
Mama. Yeah.
Oh, she is the best. And she was actually a big supporter, and still is a big supporter of us. When we first started, and to this day, she loves what we're doing, and we love them. They support us, every inch, mile of the way. So, but that's the pizza community. I couldn't have been more lucky to pick an industry that supports. Again, not competition, supports other local businesses. When something thrives in that world.
Well, from your perspective, you're neutral.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
You're not a pizzeria, so there's. I feel the same way. So like our partners who also have EMT programs provide clinical opportunities for our students, but I invite them all, and they've said it themselves, like it doesn't feel competitive when they're all in the same room,
Right.
Because they're all speaking to a new generation of VMT. So yeah, I empathize with with the perspective.
Yeah, and it's great when everyone's working together, everyone's thriving together.
So how do you? Are there ways that you make it real for them after they donate some pizzas?
Yeah, I mean we tag them on Instagram.
Yeah.
We tell them like,
And
hey,
if they
this
could
is-
be there in person, I'm sure they would.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're so swamped of these pizzerias, and we're so blessed to, like, when we first started, Friday and Saturday and Thursday are really like hot days, like busy days for these pizzerias.
Okay.
And for us to ask for 8, boxes of pizza at a great discount, a lot of people didn't know who we were at one point in time. They're like, no, I'm sorry, we have a limited amount of dough balls, so we can't do this. But now, but anyways, if they were there, they would see like the joy of what they're doing, in these shelters.
Have you worked with, or has Steve Dolinsky reached out?
So Steve Dolinsky, he knows who I am. I reached out to him, but he is tied to another,
Another nonprofit.
New York one, called Slice Out Hunger.
I heard about that, but
Yeah.
like you can't. Is that competition? Like,
I don't know.
not a quick social media
Yeah,
share. What are you doing, Steve?
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve, but like, come on.
Well, I don't think he wants anything to do with us. So, I reached out to him a couple times and, asked us, to support us or even being part of, Chicago Pizza Summit. But, he's tied to Slice Out Hunger.
So, what about like fundraisers or galas? Like, I know Chicago Pizza Summit was like a fundraiser, but like more so for the partners too.
Yeah. So, we are working with, like, NBC asked us yesterday, hey, what are you doing? We want to feature you guys in November, for a segment. And can you tell us about some opportunities? So we love giving back to, like, our pizzeria partners. I gave them all passes to Chicago Summit, and people that support us, like you, just to give back and show the appreciation. On top of it, we are doing November 6th, which is a Monday, which most of the days these pizzerias are, pretty slow. Monday, everyone's like, Saturday I had pizza, Sunday I had pizza, I could take Monday off. So we're doing a happy hour appreciation event, even for small businesses, to show up, see if there's any interest of working with Doughnate Pizza, and kind of an appreciation happy hour, more or less, which is great.
Good.
Yeah, but galas, I know I need to throw like something, like a pizzeria gala.
Yeah.
Where there's like pizza, wine, champagne. I know everyone says.
Was that kind of the goal of Chicago Pizza Summit in a way, but like more so for the public? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. We got invited as the the nonprofit.
Yeah.
But it's more kind of like a low key, everyone hanging out.
what was the other one recently?
Chicago Pizza Fest. Chicago Pizza Fest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one where.
Was
Yeah,
Steve at that one?
Yeah, Steve.
Okay,
Yeah, Steve
all right.
put that one on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve put that
Yeah,
one on.
Yeah,
Okay,
Steve put
okay.
that one on, and then Chicago Pizza Summit, Anthony Spina, did that one. And he actually started it in 2016, which is awesome.
Wow.
So it's been going on, and then
There was a brief hiatus, I think.
COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he relaunched it. There was like 1,000 people there.
Event planning
And
isn't easy.
No. Well, you just got done with a wedding, so not too long
it was
ago.
The best day ever.
Was it?
Yeah.
I love that.
And being a wedding photographer, selfishly helped plan this wedding too.
Really?
As well as this podcast, in the sense of like the relationships that came through it, helped curate such a unique experience. So, for example, like Dealy, she's like the queen of sake in the Midwest, and his and hers drinks were sake.
Really?
So mine was just a pure glass of, like, it's similar to a Chablis. So she has a great way to translate verbiage from other worlds, whether it's whiskey, beer, wine, into sake. And then she made a margarita with sake, and some tequila in there too. But
is it 5 yet?
It was a yuzu, yuzu sake. Yeah. So
Really?
that was her cocktail, and our goal was trying to let people know that sake doesn't have to be warmed up with sushi. You can just have it as it is. So that was just one example of making it unique to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's yours. This is your signature thing. People walk away from the wedding saying,
There's that,
That-
or we converted the bridal suite into a podcast space.
Did you?
The videographers were there after dinner, and I was told there's about 45 minutes worth of. There was a line apparently. I was outside smoking a cigar, but there was a line. Tommy was our band.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Tommy was our live band. Marty gave a phenomenal speech.
Was he the best man?
I didn't have a bridal party.
No?
I couldn't choose. I was just
Yeah.
like there would be a line of groomsmen if
Yeah.
a long line. So
Yeah, you're smart.
No bridal party.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I'm whenever that footage comes out, I'm excited to watch whoever
That's great.
hopped on the podcast thing. I was ready to bring my stuff. I was like,
You should have.
and just find someone to man it, and no, what the videographers obliged, and they're like, that's a great idea.
That's awesome. And so, are you Japanese?
Chinese,
Chinese?
but for the longest time, I thought I was Burmese.
No,
because
really?
Both my parents are from Burma,
Oh, wow.
and the DNA test said I was 100% Chinese. So which makes sense.
Yeah.
Talking to a few other people, they're like, yeah, you don't look Burmese, like
Yeah.
you look Chinese. So.
That's cool.
Their parents immigrated from China to Burma, but because
Yeah.
growing up they don't speak Chinese, they speak Burmese.
Oh, really?
Which is like by Vietnam, Thailand, Laos. Yeah,
Have you ever been over there?
twice. Yeah,
Really?
twice, yeah, right before the current president was like put back into house arrest. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think she was just released, but she was under house arrest for like over a decade. I think.
Really?
Yeah, the first time. Aung San Suu Kyi.
That's some cool stuff. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I've been to China once
Oh,
for
okay. Never been.
10 days, but then Japan, where you're talking about the sake and everything like that.
Oh, okay.
It was
Gotcha.
so awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. Cold sake. It's like that's like.
Do you like
how it's-
sushi? We can get sushi sometimes.
I love sushi. I love sushi. I'm like a sushi snob though now after going to Japan, where like you have to use your fingers.
Yeah.
Not a little.
little omakase.
Oh, love it. Love omakase. What's your favorite sushi spot?
So recently, we were at the release party for Let Us Entertain You released their own sake.
Really?
Yeah. So they have Sushi-san, and then they opened a omakase room upstairs.
I was just there.
And they were releasing. Yeah, it's a beautiful space with the uplighting, the textured walls, and Chef Kaze-chan, and the sake is called Sake-san. And they collab with someone from Japan to
Really?
do it. Yeah, Daniel Bennett was one of the guys behind it, and I only know this because Dila, the Midwest sake queen, invited us.
That's awesome.
But
It's. I mean,
so
did you
we
eat
haven't
there?
we haven't when we were there they were making hand rolls.
Okay.
So I haven't had omakase there, but omakase yume in the West Loop is a good one.
You may. Okay.
And made by a Korean chef. Like with other
Really?
hospitality people, we've had like conversations around like, is it, can like Derek, like can someone who's Chinese make Italian
Yeah.
pizza, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the guy, the omakase chef's Korean at Omakase Yume, and then Chef Otto Fan is Vietnamese at Kyoto next
Yeah.
door. So those are probably top three
Kyoto's
that come to mind.
It's tough to get in every time I.
You
These are expensive
You need
places.
a couple months. Yeah, since the pandemic, he raised his prices to like over 500, and he has regulars that can go on a weekly basis, right? So,
Well,
but
good for them.
But recently he opened Kyoto Next Door,
Mhm.
which is much more accommodating to someone who just wants to try it.
Right.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
Kyoto Next Door, it's like $250 a head.
Going back to like the Korean working at a sushi spot, do you see a lot of that like emergence to nationalities?
The last time we talked about that was a guy did a documentary on Ethan Lim, who has a really cool Cambodian spot called Hermosa.
Right.
And we talked about what's more authentic. Is it a few white people that spent some time in China and came back to Chicago and opened up a Michelin star Chinese restaurant that could cost an arm and a leg to be into? Or is it the mom and pa fast food Chinese place that might make General Tso's, orange chicken, Mongolian beef?
Yeah.
What's more authentic?
Yeah. What was your take on that?
Well, I think overall the take is can both be authentic.
Yeah.
And at what point does someone from a different culture cooking another person's culture being inauthentic or maybe not authentic is the right word, but taking advantage of the situation.
Right.
and appropriating someone's culture for your own selfish gain.
Correct.
Which, this back and forth of like, yeah, you should be compensated for the work you're doing. And then it goes into a conversation of, can certain cultures have elevated fine dining? Like Kasama's getting flack sometimes. And, there can be a lot of toxicity within someone's own culture of like not accepting someone else cooking that food, especially at a certain price point.
For me, I don't know. I look at it as, if there's love and passion in the food, and when I was in Japan, like everyone was so grateful. They treated food just like gold. The chefs, and how you have to eat all rice out of the bowl, but like bringing that back, that theoretical basis back here of appreciating love, passion. I think you got to look past kind of who's cooking. If they're, again, just my input.
It's global.
It's if they're respecting what they're cooking and delighted and love feeding you, I think you gotta love past. But if you're going towards the authentic side of things,
I know Rick Bayless gets a lot of shit for that.
Oh yeah.
Or Steph Izzard, she made an Instagram reel like with I think either it's Chinese or Korean, and they're like, that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's doing your due diligence,
right?
Doing your best to be authentic, and that's all you can ask anyone to do is their best. But when you have a following, it's just like you're on a pedestal essentially, and all the lights on you, right? So
yeah, that is true.
All the light and attention's on you. So that being said, but like when you do get criticism, who's criticizing you? Is it someone that's in the arena with you, or someone that's in the bleacher seats?
Yeah.
I know someone in last year in the cold who is he owns a plant shop, but I think he used to be homeless.
Oh, really?
But the guy that was setting up all the orange
tents.
ice fishing tents under the viaducts was getting a lot of flack for that criticism, and it's just like, in the sense of like, we're enabling the people to continue living on the streets. Well, you got to survive the winter months to keep going.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true.
But like these tent cities are popping up, and it's just not looking good. I told you I live nearby, and near us, like at the police station, and at most police stations, the migrant situation just blossoms and blooms over time, and some people look at that as a negative like a blemish on your neighborhood, especially if you own property and you're like, it's bringing my property value down, or like, I don't feel safe walking at night when these people are just kind of loitering, but they live there too. I don't know. They live in these tent cities. And so it's a very sticky situation. Yeah. All while there's the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the Ukrainian conflict, like there's shit everywhere.
I know. I don't even, this could be a bad thing, maybe bad quality of mine, but I don't even watch the news. So I go, if you look out your back door, you could focus on just local stuff.
Yeah.
Does this stuff, is this international problems affect us? Absolutely. But what we can fix and what we can do better is our backyard. And once we fix our backyard and grow and better, like I think our community would be better. And people always talk about like the immigrants with me and why is Chicago bringing in so much? I don't have that answer. I don't know if, maybe someone does. Maybe someone's making $1 on it or something like that. But it is our issue. So that is our community. And so we need to better that. Not saying, hey, this is a bad idea. This is a horrible thing. But now we have to help people here in Chicago. So,
like how do we dictate who gets help and who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean that's again tough as well. I told you how hard it is to feed a shelter. Like no one's communicating and everything like that. So maybe just showing up, understanding the issue first, and then kind of divulging into like what can we do. Yeah. So there's some amazing program leaders in our community which do help a lot, but I think that's another question mark. What can we do? How can we better?
Yeah, I'm of the similar mindset of like just what's in your control.
Right.
Do you find it difficult to get volunteers?
Yeah. A donation's easy.
Yeah.
I don't want to like defeat our donations, but we wouldn't be surviving to date without our donors.
Right.
Our donors are awesome, and we get donors that don't, are giving us so much money like every quarter, and it's just like that. I love that. That means so much to me. But what I love more is people spending, their afternoons with Doughnate Pizza. And so that's really hard for us to kind of get volunteers to dedicate like an hour or two. But once we do get these volunteers, they're booking now, like,
because they have a good time.
Yeah, they have
It's
a
fulfilling.
time, and they understand. Like, I think it's almost like a blind date. You don't know what to expect. Doughnate, like, oh my gosh, is that like that guy Angelo Corso gonna be there? With no pizza. Are we supposed to bring the pizza? Are these shelters like crazy?
It's providing expectations up front.
Correct, and we do that. So once they understand like how easy it is, as we work together.
I'm sure there are groups like CPS or student groups within local universities that I remember being in some of these student organizations where like volunteer hours are mandatory.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that. Like for the Chicago Pizza Summit, it was a lot of like parents reaching out, like, "Hey, my child needs some volunteer hours. You guys are doing great stuff, and I love what you guys are doing. Can they work with you and volunteer your time?" I'm like, absolutely. Sign up here. Sign up here, and it's fun. We're not like building anything. We're picking up pizzas. You're meeting the restaurant owners. We always have a slice there for our volunteers to eat and enjoy. It's just we know like this is what we're feeding the community and shelters, and you pick it up, drop it off, make a salad. A restaurant partners drops off all the salad ingredients, and serve and have a great time. Yeah, so it's great. It's great. So, but it is like if I was in their shoes, volunteer shoes that don't know or don't have expectations, I would be a little.
It'll come over time, right?
Right. Yeah. I would be a little hesitant. Like, okay, what is this? What am I doing? How do I go about this?
Out of all the things we do as an entrepreneur, that's probably one of my favorites is like curating culture,
right,
and ensuring that people are trying our best to ensure that people have a good time,
right,
or a fulfilling time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we like to have a blast.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Yeah.
You can't have
keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. I love it. I love it. I know we got to get you out there and volunteering. Dude.
Yeah. I will keep an eye out.
Oh, that'd be great.
Is there anything else we haven't mentioned or talked about?
I think we are.
Like what are you looking forward to within the next couple months? We're closing out 2023.
Yeah.
It's getting cold soon. It's getting cold right now. It's like hoodie weather.
Hoodie weather. I love hoodie weather though.
Yeah.
I love it. No, I think we're all good. We have a happy hour on the 26th.
Okay.
Which I better see you at October 26th.
Of October.
Yep. And we're doing our first pizza crawl. So
I love it.
Talk about the galas and everything like that. So we're gonna be.
So what, like, are you renting a bus?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. So I know it's just like it's also kind of scary.
How do you pick which pizzas?
I know. Well, so I think it's tough. We have 50 pizza partners, so it's like, who do we go to? So what we want to do is also drive by some of the shelters. So we're making.
Oh my god, that's so perfect.
Right. So we're going to make a route like, hey, this is a shelter
because they're volunteering at the same time.
Right.
Oh god.
See. So this is great. So it's going to be a blast. We have a bunch of like beer companies that are sponsoring us already. So we'll have enough beer on the bus. And
Guinness. I know Guinness. I haven't been to the brewery in Fulton Market yet.
Let's. Is it? It's
open. It's open.
What are you doing after this? Is that where we're going?
Supposed to meet a student here on Fort. Let me see. I don't know if she's coming. She's supposed to come at like 12:30, but I don't know if she's coming.
Let's go.
I hate it when people just don't confirm shit. But
communication. Well, now you got to.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
I love it.
So you got some brewery partnerships.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, brewery partnerships.
Whom we're also spoiled with in Chicago. If you're a beer person, a lot of microbrews.
What's your favorite, like Pipeworks?
Oh, Pipeworks, Hop Butcher,
okay.
Half Acre. This week we went to Phase 3 has a second location in Elmhurst.
Really?
So they were in Lake Zurich. And then in Villa Park, Moore is out there.
Oh wow.
Noon Whistle.
Whistle
that way.
They do that like a double bourbon barrel. Like,
not Noon Whistle.
No?
Moore does. Barrel aged stuff. Phase 3 does.
I swear it was Noon Whistle where I just drank like half of this beer and I'm like, whoa, beer is getting like this high alcohol content, which.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm like,
there's and then there's stuff that's palatable for non-beer drinkers. A lot of fruited stuff, a lot of sour stuff.
Yeah. I love the sours.
Yeah.
They're getting expensive though.
Oh yeah. I mean, but so you go to the bottle shops that allow you to mix and match, right? So you don't have to
Yeah.
buy a whole 4-pack of the same beer.
Right.
You kind of just make your own 4-pack.
Yeah, it's just, but that's like, I think the economy is like just everything is just so expensive.
And don't get me wrong. Like all my beer friends would probably still smash a case of Banquet, Coors, and whatnot.
Love that.
You know?
Love that. Yeah, I'm more of a Keystone Light guy. Okay, that's what Ambrose does to you. College, but Southside Chicago. It's like Miller Lite, Bud Light,
Yeah.
Busch Light. So Busch Light in the bottles, my uncle loves for some reason. I don't really understand it, but it's like what the bottle does.
Damn.
I know, presentation. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what we got coming up with
Okay.
Doughnate Pizza. So yeah, you'll be invited to.
Yeah, the happy hour, the crawl. Hoping to see a gala, one of these, a black tie event.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be fun.
Pizza, black tie.
Show Steve what he's missing out on.
I know. This is what it is. Absolutely. I know. We got to start working with him. He's got to start working with us.
What? Where can people find you if you want to be found?
Yeah, they could find us on Instagram and also on our website. So Doughnate Pizza, DOUGHNATE pizza.com or so I never had. This is my first Instagram account. I never had a Facebook. Don't have LinkedIn.
You're doing well.
So yeah, I'm all new to this world. So I don't know if this is a hashtag, or an @ Doughnate Pizza for Instagram. But we have new merch, volunteer opportunities that we post on Instagram, and our website all has all that information. So yeah.
Sounds good. Keep doing the thing.
Oh, you're the best.
Angelo, you're killing it. You're doing. We're lucky to have you in.
No,
in the
I
city.
appreciate it. No, I'm lucky to have the city and the community backing us. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Till then,
Love it.
stay curious.